Boarding pass in hand. Family of 4. Destination: Dubai, winter break. What could go wrong? Everything. I'm the son who stayed silent. She's the mother who never held back. He's the father who sold paradise for pleasure. 5 nights. 1 villa. 0 rules. From the first stolen touch on the terrace, to the last cum-drenched sunrise in the penthouse. This is the story they'll never tell at the dinner table. But you'll devour every word. Subscribe now. Turn on the bell. I never thought a family vacation could fracture everything I believed about us. My name doesn't matter. Call me the son who watched it all unravel. We landed in Dubai on a crisp December evening, the kind where the desert air bites just enough to remind you you're alive. Winter break, they called it, a chance for the 4 of us to escape the monotony of home. Dad, always the planner, had booked a sprawling villa in Jumeirah, all white marble and infinity pools overlooking the Persian Gulf. Mom looked radiant stepping off the plane, her sundress clinging to curves that age hadn't dulled. My sister, Layla, barely glanced up from her phone, earbuds in, whirled out. And Dad, well, Dad was Dad, clipboard in hand, itinerary locked and loaded. The first day was pure postcard. We hit the Burj Khalifa, ascended to the 124th floor where the city sprawled like a circuit board of lights. Mom laughed when the wind whipped her hair, pressing against Dad in a way that felt almost performative. I caught it then, a flicker in her eyes when she thought no one was looking, a hunger that didn't match the woman who packed my lunches with heart-shaped sandwiches. That night, we dined at a rooftop restaurant, the call to prayer echoing faintly over clinking glasses of mocktails. Dad toasted to new memories, his voice booming with that salesman charm he never turned off. Layla rolled her eyes, I forced a smile. Back at the villa, the real Dubai revealed itself. The staff, silent, efficient Emiratis and expats, moved like ghosts. Our butler, a man named Kareem with a smile too polished, showed us the private beach access. Mom's bikini was scandalously small by our conservative standards back home, the fabric straining against her full breasts, the bottoms riding high on her hips. Dad didn't notice, he was busy networking with some British expat about crypto. I did notice. I was 22, not blind. The way the sun caught the oil on her skin, the way she arched her back just so when she dove into the pool, fuck, it was wrong, but it stirred something primal. That night, I couldn't sleep. The villa was too quiet, the AC humming like a lover's breath. I wandered to the kitchen for water and heard voices from the terrace. Mom and Kareem, not loud, but intimate. You move like you've done this before, she said, her voice husky with wine. A low chuckle in response. I peeked through the glass doors. She was in a silk robe, barely tied, the curve of her ass visible as she leaned over the railing. Kareem stood close, too close, his hand brushing her thigh. My heart hammered. This wasn't my mother, the PTA president, the woman who cried at Hallmark commercials. This was someone else entirely. I retreated before they saw me, cock hard against my will, shame burning my cheeks. Dad snored in the master suite, oblivious. Layla texted her boyfriend back home. And Mom was out there, letting a stranger's fingers trace the edge of her robe, teasing the promise of more. I jerked off in the dark, hating myself, imagining her moans. The vacation had just begun, and already the cracks were showing. Dubai wasn't just a city of excess, it was a mirror, reflecting desires we'd buried under suburban normalcy. Little did I know, Dad's actions would shatter that mirror completely, and Mom's secrets would be the shards that cut deepest. The next morning, Dad announced the surprise, a private desert safari. Something to bond us, he said, eyes gleaming with that manic energy he got when he closed a big deal. We piled into a fleet of black Range Rovers, the drivers all Emirati men in crisp white thobes. Mom wore a sheer cover-up over her bikini, the outline of her nipples visible when the fabric caught the light. Layla complained about the heat. I stared out the window, replaying last night's terrace scene on loop. The desert was a sea of gold, dunes rising like frozen waves. We stopped at a Bedouin-style camp, all tents and lanterns, the air thick with oud and grilled meat. Dad disappeared almost immediately, pulled away by our guide, a tall, broad-shouldered man named Faisal with a beard that screamed authority. Business opportunity, Dad muttered, clapping my shoulder. Keep an eye on your mother. As if I needed the directive. Mom was already the center of attention. The camp staff, all men, hovered like moths. She laughed at their jokes, her hand lingering on forearms, her hips swaying as she accepted a glass of fresh pomegranate juice. I watched from the sidelines, nursing a warm Coke, as Kareem, Yes, the same fucking butler, materialized with a tray of dates. He whispered something that made her blush, her fingers brushing his as she took one. The fruit glistened on her lips, and she licked it slowly, eyes locked on his. Dad returned hours later, sunburnt and buzzing. You won't believe this, he said, pulling us into a private tent. Faisal followed, along with 2 other men, investors, Dad claimed. They spoke in rapid Arabic, then English, about exclusive access to something. Dad's eyes darted to Mom, who was fanning herself with a menu, sweat beading between her breasts. Gentlemen, Dad said, voice dropping, my wife is open to new experiences. The words hung like smoke. Mom's head snapped up, but she didn't protest. Instead, a slow smile spread across her face. That night, the camp transformed. Lanterns dimmed, music thrummed, a mix of traditional oud and bass-heavy electronica. Dad orchestrated it all, passing out shots of Iraq smuggled past the dry camp rules. Layla passed out early in our tent, victim of jet lag and too much sun. I pretended to sleep, but slipped out to watch. Mom was dancing, her body moving like liquid sin, the sheer fabric of her dress translucent under the firelight. Faisal's hands were on her waist, guiding her. Kareem watched, eyes dark with want. Dad pulled me aside. Son, sometimes a man has to make sacrifices for the greater good. His breath reeked of liquor. These men, they can open doors. Your mother understands. I wanted to punch him. Instead, I watched as Mom was led to a private dune, Faisal's arm around her, Kareem trailing. Dad stayed behind, negotiating, his laughter echoing as she disappeared into the night. I followed at a distance, heart pounding. The sand was cold underfoot. I crested the dune just in time to see her robe slip to the ground. Moonlight bathed her naked body, full breasts, the dark triangle between her thighs. Faisal kissed her roughly, hands cupping her ass. Kareem knelt, mouth on her nipple, sucking until she gasped. She dropped to her knees, taking Faisal's cock in her mouth while Kareem fingered her from behind. The sounds, wet, desperate, carried on the wind. I came in my pants, shame and arousal twisting like a knife. Dad's sacrifice wasn't just business. It was a transaction, her body the currency. And she loved it. By day 3, the villa felt like a pressure cooker. Dad's deal was in motion, whatever the fuck it was. He spent hours on calls, pacing the terrace in linen shirts unbuttoned to his navel. Mom floated through the days in a haze of sun and sex, her skin glowing, lips swollen. Layla noticed nothing, lost in her own teenage drama. I noticed everything, the way Mom's eyes lingered on the pool boy, the way she, accidentally, brushed against Kareem when he served breakfast. Dad's masterstroke came on day 4, a private yacht charter. To celebrate, he said, though what we were celebrating remained unclear. The yacht was obscene, 3 decks, a jacuzzi, a crew of 6 tanned Europeans in crisp uniforms. We boarded at Dubai Marina, the skyline a jagged crown behind us. Mom wore a white bikini that left nothing to the imagination, the top barely containing her, the bottoms a thong that disappeared between her cheeks. Dad slapped her ass as she boarded, a public claim that felt more like branding. The captain, a Swede named Lars with arms like bridge cables, welcomed us with champagne. Real champagne, not the non-alcoholic bullshit. Dad toasted again, his arm around Mom's waist, fingers dipping dangerously low. The yacht cut through the water, heading for the open sea. Layla sunbathed on the bow, headphones in. I lingered near the bar, watching. It started innocently enough. Mom and Lars laughing over navigation charts. Dad encouraging it, pouring drinks. Then the crew joined, off duty now, shirts unbuttoned. One, a Filipino deckhand named Marco, had a tattoo snaking up his abs. Mom traced it with a finger, giggling. Dad watched, eyes glazed. Go on, he said. Enjoy yourself. The jacuzzi was the tipping point. Mom stripped naked, sliding into the bubbling water with a sigh. Lars followed, then Marco, then the others. Dad stayed clothed, sipping whiskey, directing like a pornographer. Touch her here, he said, pointing. Mom's head fell back as hands roamed, breasts squeezed, thighs parted. Lars fingered her under the water, her moans rising with the steam. Marco fed her his cock, her lips stretching around him. Dad jerked off in the corner, grunting approval. I hid below deck, peeking through a porthole. The yacht rocked gently, but the real motion was her body, arching, writhing, taking 2 men at once. Lars fucked her from behind while she sucked Marco, her wedding ring glinting as she gripped his thighs. Dad came on the deck, splattering the teak. No one noticed me. Later, alone in my cabin, I confronted him. What the fuck, Dad? He laughed, drunk. It's just sex, son. Opens doors. Your mother, she needs this. We all do. He didn't see the tears in my eyes. Or the erection I couldn't hide. Mom found me later, wrapped in a towel, skin flushed. Don't judge, she whispered, kissing my forehead. Her lips tasted of salt and cum. Your father, he changed everything. But I'm still your mother. Then she was gone, back to the party, where the crew took turns until dawn. The yacht returned at sunrise, the city glowing like a promise. But promises were lies now. The final nights blurred into a fever dream. Dad's deal closed. Something about real estate and crypto, details he never shared. We moved to a penthouse suite at the Burj Al Arab, all gold and excess. The staff knew us now, eyes averted but knowing. Mom had become a legend in whispers, a Western wife with appetites that matched the city's decadence. Dad orchestrated the grand finale, a private party in the suite. Invitations went out to his new partners, Faisal, Kareem, Lars, a dozen others. Layla was sent shopping with a black Amex, told to stay out late. I was meant to be the lookout, but Dad had other plans. Watch and learn, he said, pressing a Viagra into my hand. This is how you seal alliances. The suite filled with men, Arabs, Europeans, a few Russians with accents like gravel. Mom entered like a queen, in a dress that was more suggestion than fabric, black lace, crotchless panties visible when she moved. No bra, her nipples poked through like accusations. Dad greeted each guest with handshakes and slaps on the back, offering Mom like a hostess gift. It began with dancing, then touching, then more. She was passed around like a joint, hands everywhere, squeezing, pinching, fingering. Dad watched from a throne-like chair, stroking himself. That's it, baby, he encouraged as Faisal bent her over the bar, fucking her raw while Kareem filled her mouth. Cum dripped down her thighs, but she begged for more. I couldn't stay away. Hidden in the shadows of an adjoining room, I watched through a cracked door. They tied her wrists with silk scarves, spread her on the dining table. One after another, they took her, cocks in her pussy, her ass, her mouth. Double penetration, triple, she screamed in ecstasy, squirting when they hit the right spots. Dad joined eventually, fucking her used hole while others watched, his grunts animalistic. At one point, she locked eyes with me through the door. Not shock, recognition, a wicked smile as a stranger's cock stretched her. She mouthed, watch. I came harder than ever, hating her, wanting her. The party lasted until the muezzins call at dawn. Bodies sprawled, sheets stained. Dad counted cash, his cut of whatever deal Mom's body had sealed. She lay in the wreckage, covered in cum, smiling like a cat. You did good, Dad said, kissing her forehead. Changed everything. She wasn't caught. She was complicit. And I was complicit too, jerking off to my mother's degradation. The flight home was silent. Layla slept, oblivious. Dad reviewed contracts, smug. Mom stared out the window, a secret smile playing on her lips. I hadn't slept in days, haunted by images burned into my retinas, her body arched in ecstasy, cum-glazed skin, the way she'd looked at me like I was part of it. Back home, nothing changed on the surface. Dad's business boomed. Mom volunteered at the food bank, baked cookies for bake sales. Layla obsessed over college applications. But I saw the cracks. The way Mom's eyes lingered on the pool guy. The late night, book club, meetings. Dad's new, business trips, with her in tow. One night, months later, I found her laptop open. A private blog, anonymous of course. Entries detailing Dubai, the desert, the yacht, the suite. Not regret, pride. He gave me freedom, she wrote of Dad. And I took it. Photos too, blurred faces but unmistakable bodies. Mine wasn't there, but I felt exposed. Dad's actions, pimping her out for profit, should have destroyed us. Instead, it bound them in a twisted intimacy. Mom thrived, her adventures a secret shared with strangers online. She was never caught because Dad enabled it. Because I watched. Because we all pretended. I left home eventually, unable to stomach the normalcy. But I check her blog sometimes. New cities, new men. Dubai was just the beginning. Our family changed forever that winter break. Not broken, evolved, into something darker, truer. And I, the silent witness, carry the weight of their sins like a crown. Uncensored, unapologetic, adults only. Warning, this is not your mother's family vacation story. What began as a luxury winter break in Dubai became a raw, Explicit descent into forbidden lust, power, and betrayal, narrated by the son who saw everything. He watched. She surrendered. Dad profited. Sweat droplets, no limits. No regrets. No names. Subscribe now to unlock the full anonymous confession, before someone you know does. Warning. This story contains graphic adult content, consensual non-monogamy, voyeurism, and family dynamics that will haunt your fantasies. 18+ only. Enter at your own risk.